Your pain means something. So I don't know how much I'm going to get this right, but I kind of got some sentiments to convey. I know that this YouTube channel doesn't get a lot of views. I don't know how much what I've said in the last probably 3 or 4 years since I've been making these videos has really gone out and soaked into the Manosphere. I know I've got a lot of original ideas. Once upon a time I tried to monetize my channel and never really worked, and I never really felt very good about it because I felt like, why am I selling these ideas that should be free? It doesn't really make sense to me. So I'm not one of those guys. I'm not one of these profiteers, although, you know, I like money just as like, just as much as anybody else. I think in some of my old videos I had like a link to a Patreon. No one ever gave me money, and that's cool because I'm for sure not asking for money at all. Because I would rather help somebody, and I would rather these I would call them truths, but just ideas. And I realize that if you listen to my videos and you hear my ideas and you can relate with my ideas, then that means something. You know, your pain means something, and that's kind of where I started in my red pill journey. Well, I wouldn't say started, but that's where I connected. That's a better word. I connected with others in my red pill journey, was the sharing of pain, right? See, I had red pill pain before I even knew what the red pill was. I had that kind of pain before I even discovered this concept of red pill, and men online who have actually named, categorized and systematized their pain and said, this is what it is. It's part of this system. It's part of this category. So my hat's off to men. And I love men, man. I love and I respect real men who do things and who lay things down in such a way that it's truthful. Without real men, we would never have the Bible. Without real men who do things like, what we're doing, we would never have the Constitution of America. We would never have legislation. We would never have government. And it can be used for ill. It can be used for evil. But to men who have backbone enough to speak the truth and to relate with others who speak the truth, that really means something. It really does. And when I say it means something, I mean it changes things, because men have suffered in silence for too long. I used to be into hip hop. I used to make hip hop songs. One of the songs that I made once was called The Silent Sufferers. And it really wasn't about men. It was just a general song. But I like that phrase, the silent sufferers. And I read this quote a long time ago. I forget who it was. I think it was Oscar Wilde. I want to say Oscar Wilde. You can Google it. I'm not going to Google it right now. But I'll Google it in a second. It's probably Oscar Wilde. The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. And that is so true. Our voices are not heard as men. We are not respected. And it has been fighting upstream. Trust me. It has been fighting into the wind. It's been an uphill battle 100%, because these truths are not accepted. And which is why I believe that there's evil behind, the quelling and the squashing of our truths. There's evil behind it. Why? Because there's another quote that's good. Evil, how does it go? Evil, I know I'm massacring this quote, but it's something like, evil is multiplied when men stay silent, or something like that. You have a voice, and you need to speak up, and you need to be a proponent of the truth, meaning accept the truth, not in a crazy way, not in a weird way, right? Not in a illegal way or anything like that, but just you're accepting the truth and saying, yeah, that's the truth. Yeah, that's what's up. That's, and it comes from our experience, right? It comes from our experience. But when you accept the truth and when you stand up for the truth, that means something, man. And when you even support other people who are standing up for the truth and who are speaking the truth, that really, really means something. So I just wanted to say that for me, it's been a fight, because I suppose my goal was to sort of break through and sort of penetrate the prism and the bubble that is surrounding the matrix and say, hey, wait a minute, this isn't right. I'm going to say something about it. And that's been my goal on social media. It's been my goal on YouTube. Now, have I been bitter? Have I been hurt? Have I said some things that, you know, came out of that hurt, bitter place where I maybe blanketed people, or I maybe, you know, I don't know. I've tried not to. I've tried to be fair. I've tried to be impartial as best I could. But, you know, we're talking about a specific thing. We're talking about specific things. We're talking about the Matrix. We're talking about female nature. We're talking about the way women behave, the way men behave, right? So it's very difficult not to sort of make generalizations. I've always tried to be impartial, tried to be fair, and I've always said, you know, things like, well, it's not all women, it's not 100% of women, you know, there are exceptions, it's just the majority of women, just this is how the majority, right? But I've never said anything that's like illegal. I've never said anything that's like can be considered dangerous. I've never said anything that I've tried not to be hateful. I mean, I've been bitter, I've been angry, right? But I've tried not to be blaming or you know, I've tried to take responsibility for my behavior and things like that. Never been radical or anything or too toxic. I've really tried, but it's difficult when you're coming from a hurt place. You know, it's difficult when you're coming from your experience is like, hey, you know, this is the, you know, there's a pattern here. This is how they're all treating me. This is my experience with everyone I meet, right? So that is difficult to do. And then, of course, for me on my YouTube platform, at least, it's been, I know this isn't professional. I know my videos aren't professional. I've never showed my face. I felt that what I was saying was maybe too controversial, or I just didn't want to put myself out there like that. Some people say, oh, you're a coward for doing blah, blah, blah. It's just like, nah, I'm good on that. I don't need that. I don't. It's not that I'm afraid or anything. I just don't care. I don't feel the need to put my face out there. I'm not trying to build my brand. I'm not trying to build myself up to get paid off of this. I had thought about it at one point, and I realized that I don't want to get paid off truth. Well, first of all, I don't think I could have done it anyways, because I don't think I have the gift for it. I think guys like Better Bachelor, Donovan Sharp, you know, these guys have the gift for it. They're way better talkers than I am. But I feel like what I do bring to the table that may be unique is just my candidness and just my willingness to tell the unvarnished truth. And a lot of people probably don't like listening to me talk that long. You know, I'm probably not that interesting. So based on that, I'm sure that's why I got so little views. And it is what it is. But over the years, I've helped people, and I think people, you know, people really gained a lot of insight from things that I've said, and I've heard, and I know some of those guys in the bigger channels. I know some of them listen to at least some of my content, because I've heard my ideas that I've never heard before until I said it. You know, I heard my ideas being talked about by some of these guys later on down the road after I released certain videos, and I'm like, nah, there's no way. Like, I've never heard you talk about that, and all of a sudden I talk about it and you're talking about it. So, you know, but that's just it's kind of an untold secret of any industry, is that big fish eat little fish. You know, guys on the top are going to go to the bottom, and they're going to get their ideas from guys on the bottom. That's just what it's always been in any industry, particularly like a free market, quote unquote, free market style industry where, you know, there's just, you know, content, because you can't really patent content, and I'm not trying to. I'm not interested in. I mean, in fact, I want them to take my ideas because they have a bigger platform. Because for me, it is about the ideas. It's not about the you know, the income. It's not about the profit margin. For me, it's the income, or my income is the ideas. My income is that my ideas are being shared because I believe they're the truth. Okay, and I believe that men need to speak the truth, and we have not had a voice because we were always told that if we had a voice, we were weak and, oh, cry about it, or we're called names, insults, right? On and on. And the reason why that is because we live in a gynocentric society. We live in a society that uplifts women and puts men down. Men are utility in our society, and that is the probably one of the most consistent things I've ever said in all my videos since I started my channel, is that men are utility. Men are a means to an end in a gynocentric society, in this matrix of a society that we live in. Men we're not viewed as human, we're viewed as we're not viewed as human beings, we're viewed as human doings. And so with that said, I've gotten a lot of my ideas from other channels. I've gotten a lot of my ideas from the Manosphere. And I've not that I'm solely uniquely basing everything that I say on that. Most of it, if not all of it, is from my personal experience with women and dating and relationships and the matrix and society and all that I've experienced in my entire life. But I'll take those ideas and I'll say, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I have experienced that, etc. And I'll expound upon it and I'll talk about it. That's where a lot of my ideas for my channels come from, is I hear somebody else say it and I'm like, yeah, let me talk about that. And then let me share my personal experience with that. And then let me build on what you're saying. And this is where I think men can really support each other and help each other, in that we can compound each other's strength and experiences into something positive, based on our shared experiences and based on the fact that we are supporting one another in that, hey, yeah, man, I experienced that too. That's messed up. That's not right. I want to talk about that. And then another thing that I've done is I've taken a lot of my ideas and I've cross-platformed them. I've taken them to social media. I've been one of the only ones, and now I see people doing it here and there, but I've really been one of the only ones outside of, say, like a MGTOW group or a red pill group, right? Because of course, yeah, that just goes without saying that if you're going to join a MGTOW group or you're going to join a red pill group, constantly talking about these things that I talk about, right? But that's within that group. When I say cross-platform, I'm saying like take it to other groups, take it to like general places where it's everybody. And so when you do that, then you get attacked. Then it's like the feminists come out of the woodwork, and not only the feminists, the white knights and the male feminists, and they come out to attack you and call you all kinds of names and shout you down, da 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 da. So that's something that I was always okay with, because I have thick skin and because I expect it. I expect them to be like that, and so I don't even take it personal. It's not me. They're not mad at me. They're mad at the truth that I'm speaking. They're mad at the mirror that I'm holding up to show them who they really are. That's what they're mad at. They're mad at the fact that they can't have their cake and eat it too. They're mad at the fact that they can't bully people 24/7. They're mad at the fact that they can't run game on people because I'm exposing it. I'm out here saying, hey, no, that's not right. This is why it's not right. Da, da, da. Right? So they want to shout me down. They want to attack me, and I'm used to it, and I expect it. I know what it is. It's like, it's not me. It's not personal. It's just they don't like the truth that I'm speaking, because it exposes them. It exposes their double standards. It exposes their lies. It exposes their motives. Exposes their modus operandi. Right? I expose feminists. I go on and I hold up a mirror and I say, hey, you got these double standards. This ain't right. You're sexist. That you don't really care about men. You're not really for equality. You're just, So anyway, that's just something that I do, and that I think what I've seen is that, and the reason why I say your pain means something is because me doing that, I notice that there's an impact. I notice that people are starting to speak the truth that I've been speaking. And I notice that people are saying, hey, wait a minute. Yeah, that's not right. Hey, wait a minute. Maybe men do have a voice. Hey, wait a minute. Maybe we can speak up instead of just being these stoic. I hate stoicism, man. I hate that shit. right? I hate the concept of stoicism. I hate guys who, I mean, I'm not saying I hate anybody, but I hate the concept of people, of guys encouraging stoicism, because stoicism is asking you to be inhuman. It's human to have emotions. It's human to feel things. And there's been this concept that men just need to grin and bear it. Oh, buck up. Oh, you know, just be quiet. You know, you're not an alpha male if you talk about your feelings. And like, so what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to just bottle your feelings up. You think alpha males don't have feelings? They do. They just have figured out a way to bypass them. They figured out a way to, and for some reason that has become like the example of what to be, like the archetype. Oh, men need to be stoic warlords and warriors and always, you know, strong. It's just like, that's just not realistic, man. Guys commit suicide because of that shit. You know, if you don't figure out a way to deal with your emotions, if you don't figure out a way to stand up for yourself socially, you know, guys commit suicide, man. Suicide is way, way higher in men than it is for women. And the reason why that is because men don't have an outlet. We don't have anyone to talk to about our emotions. Humans have emotions. It's not feminine for a male to have emotions. That's not beta. Okay? It's just how you react to your emotions, how you deal with them. Okay? And what really the difference between an alpha and a beta, and I use those terms loosely in a colloquial way because I can't use them strictly, because I have to get into a whole nother conversation with that. But I would just say alpha means strong and beta means weak. The difference is what you are actually standing up for and what you're speaking out against. Beta guys, weak guys, will stand up for the wrong things. They'll stand up for things that make them kind of proponents of error, proponents of evil, proponents of laziness, or you could say feminism is laziness. It's error. It's putting women above men. It's using all these leverages and lies and dipsy doos in order to gain leverage in society. That's what feminism is. So a man who is a proponent of feminism is weak, because he knows deep down they know what they're doing. They are attracted and linked to that evil weakness. I call it weakness because they don't believe in themselves. They're not strong enough to stand up for the truth. It takes strength to put your foot down and be a proponent of the truth. It takes strength to tell the truth when everybody around you is living a lie. It really does. When you're living in the truth and everyone around you is living and everyone else is in the Matrix, that's the whole point of the red pill. That's the whole point of the movie The Matrix with Keanu Reeves and Lawrence Fishburne. He's saying, hey, take the red pill and leave this lie. It's a manufactured reality. That's the whole point of the movie. It's a manufactured reality. And this is when we look outside. It's a manufactured reality. When you break down the fiber of everything that this society stands for, it is evil. It's manufactured. It's not genuine. It's not real. It's slavery. It's slavery. And that's essentially what the Matrix is. The robots are feeding on the consciousness of the humans. That if you break down what the Matrix means, if you go watch the movie again and break it down, that's what it means. The robots or the evilness or whatever was feeding off of the consciousness of the human. And that's what's going on outside. That's what's going on in our life. We are slaves to money. Who's the one who set up money? It wasn't God. God didn't set up money. Did Adam and Eve have to pay their way in the Garden of Eden? No, they did not. They were just there. And God took care of them. But what happened was they talked to that serpent, and they got that evilness inside of them through that digesting of the fruit of the tree of knowledge, right? And God had to come in and judge them. They couldn't be in the garden anymore. And what was the produce of that? They had a son named Cain, and he killed his brother Abel. And then he went out and he set up a city. If you really study the book of Genesis, that's what happened. Cain went and set up his own city. That was the first city. Okay, Cain had the first city, and it was the city that was against God. And this is where the concept of money came in. This is where the concept of commerce came in, right? And that city eventually became Babylon. And Babylon was, that where they tried to build that big stairway to heaven or whatever. And God just knocked it all down and confused them, and so people started speaking different languages. That's in Genesis. Now you could take that literally or however you want to take it, but that's what Genesis says, right? And I believe that that's a representation of of today. This world isn't for God. This world is for money. This world is for commerce, right? And who's behind that? Go look at your dollar bill. Look at that pyramid with the eye on it, right? Anyway, I don't want to get too much into conspiracy theories, but this world and this matrix is not for God. It's not for man. And God created man. Man is for God, really, or, originally. This is why the evil, whatever, hates mankind. Because mankind is a representative of God. This is why feminism is so popular. This is why feminism is so influencing. Because man himself, not woman, man is made in the image of God. Though you got to remember, the woman was taken from Adam's rib. Eve was taken from Adam's rib. Okay? Eve was not created by God in the image of God. Eve was taken from man's rib. Now, I've had my qualms with how I believe women are evil and how I believe female nature is messed up. I've had my qualms with that. I talk about it in my videos on my channel. I've been confounded by that, confused. Why did God make them like this? Whatever. And then if you go later in the Bible, Ecclesiastes or even Proverbs, right? It talks about how there's not many good women out there. Very difficult to find a good woman. You can go read that. Ecclesiastes 7:28, Proverbs, whatever, right? It talks about how, not too many women are very good. Or actually, Ecclesiastes 7:26. I found that some women are worse than death and are as dangerous as traps. Their love is like a net, and their arms hold men like chains. King Solomon wrote that. And he also said, among 1,000, I have found one upright man, but not one upright woman. Ecclesiastes 7:28, 2 verses later, right? There you go, man. So I don't know why. I don't know why God made women like that. Maybe it's just to simply further our race, because if women were like men, then maybe we'd all be having sex. I don't know. We'd all just be banging. And that's something I've said consistently on my channel. But women are animalistic. This is their female nature, and this is what I talk about on my channel. It's animalistic to choose a man for his resources. It's animalistic to, love conditionally insofar as what a man can provide for you and all these types of things that I talk about. It's animalistic. And why? I don't know. Maybe there's a purpose for that. Again, if women were more egalitarian, maybe they would be more sexual. But yet they're already sexual, right? So it's pretty messed up. We live in a messed up time, and I've been talking about it, man. And a lot of, admittedly, again, back to my original point, your pain means something. This channel would not be in existence if I didn't have pain. If I was just a 10% Chad guy and I just got every woman I wanted, I wouldn't give a shit, because I would have never got hurt. I'm sure even Chad guys get hurt, but I probably would have just moved on to the next one. It's like, but I'm not in that top 10%. And I've had my fair share of relationships. I don't even know if I should use the word fair share, because what is a fair share? If a woman's sleeping with 1 million dudes, it's like, how many women I've been with, maybe 10 relationships in my whole life. Is that my fair share? I probably should have had 4 times that, or 5 or 10 times that if I was, if I was a 10% Chad guy, right? Is that fair? Is that a fair share? I don't think any of it's fair. I don't think anything has to do with fair when it comes to love and war, right? So, but sharing your experience means something, man. Your pain means something. This channel would not be in existence if I didn't have pain. Everybody that I've helped, everybody who's made comments that said, hey man, your video really helped me. Hey man, that's, you know, what you said is really true, and things like that. None of that would have been possible if I didn't have pain. And I could have committed suicide a million times, because men do. When men get dumped and men get cheated on and men get divorced and they take our kids, I can't tell you how many times I read that constantly online, where some guy, here's another guy just took his own life because his ex-wife wouldn't let him see his kids. She screwed him in divorce court. She lied about domestic violence, which is what these lawyers do. They encourage the woman to lie about domestic violence because they'll win the case, right? And he commits suicide. I could have been that a million times over. I can't tell you how much I've suffered because of women. Real legit pain, like physical, mental, emotional, all of it. Because if you go through something physically, or excuse me, if you go through something psychologically and emotionally, you know, a woman screws you over, cheats on you, you know, dumps you, monkey branches, leaves you for another guy, you go through an existential funk. That's what it feels like when you don't get chosen, or when you love somebody, right, and you give your heart to somebody, or you open yourself up to somebody, you're vulnerable, and she just leaves you in the dust. That's what it feels like. It's emotionally, it's like an emotional car crash or something. And a lot of what I've spoken in the last 5 years is basically from that. Comes from that pain, being left, being cheated on, being dumped. And everything I've learned I've learned it the hard way. Which is why my channel isn't monetized. If it was, if my goal was to make money, then it would have been completely different. My whole channel would have been completely different. The way I make these videos probably would have showed my face. Everything would have been commercial. And I'm not saying that the guys at the top, you know, Better Bachelor, Donovan Sharp, Rolo, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying these guys didn't experience the same things I experienced. But it's not my motivation to be that polished. It's not my motivation to be that popular, per se. I just want to share my truths, and I want people to hear my truths, and to, you know, hopefully you can relate, or better yet, you can protect yourself from things that I went through. Say, hey, wait a minute, yeah, I gotta watch that kind of woman, or I gotta watch out for that, or I gotta. You know, and that's one of the best compliments I've ever seen for anybody, for any channel. And I've gone to these guys' channels, Rich Cooper, whatever, and I've read their comments. And a lot of guys say things like, hey man, you saved my life. You taught me about women. And I was with this girl and I knew she was bad and I dumped her. And I feel like you really saved me a lot of years of pain. And like, that's the best compliment. Not, oh yeah, I gave you $100 on Patreon or whatever. I mean, I'm not saying that's not nice. I'm not saying these guys aren't worth money. I'm not saying they're not worth to be paid for what they do for us. But that's the best compliment. When somebody says, hey, you saved my life, man. The truths that you shared helped me, you know, not step on those landmines, not fall into those traps. That's kind of my goal. That's really my goal with turning my pain into something good. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there, guys. Appreciate you listening. It's been Jay Lee. It's been another Northwest Podcast. Peace.